and I just want to welcome Daniel McCartney at UTA in LA. Um, Thank you for all that you do. If people have never met you or they've never really encountered your work, could you just maybe describe just a little bit about what you do?
Yeah, I'll give you the elevator pitch. So I am an agent at UTA. I represent talent at UTA, but I also own and operate a nonprofit organization called the Continuance Foundation, which puts musicians, the music industry, and individuals kind of in that ecosystem into therapy and counseling, and also gives them coaching, resources, education, all sorts of stuff. So I started about a year and a half ago, I guess, which is crazy that it's been that long now. But it's going great, man. And I thank you so much for showing interest in the nonprofit.
Yeah, definitely. I was just looking at your work and I think it's amazing because when artists go on tour, they just encounter so much and it's different from just a normal person that just has a normal job. They're going to all of these different cities, different countries, promoting their music. What's one thing that you found, when they're going on tour, just some things that they need help with and when they're out and about?
Yeah, well, one of the things I always say is like there isn't a real normalcy when you're a musician, right? So especially whether it's even if you're not on the road, a lot of times, it's when you're at home, it's more of a well, what's next? What am I doing? Am I going to the studio? Being in the studio in and of itself is a really creatively draining process usually for writers. And then also just like, yeah, like on the road, these guys are like, barely sleeping. It's a tasking lifestyle for them. So for me, knowing how that was since I did it, was really beneficial when I started it. So by the way, I pushed my meeting, so I've got another 5 minutes.
Oh, awesome.
Yeah, yeah, it was until 1:15, 4:15 your time.
Okay.
But yeah, dude, it's been cool because, like I said, I actually have been in that spot, so I know how to talk to these guys and help get them the help they need.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, that's so interesting because I know that you used to be an artist yourself and you alluded to that fact, but just like you had a lot of success with Gideon. Was that scary, just like walking away from that and transitioning to an agent? Like, what was that like? Just because I know a lot in business, we have to pivot, we have to have another strategy. What was that like to like walk away from a successful, music career?
Yeah, it was tough, but I was ready when I moved to California. I knew that it was what I needed to be doing, and I knew it was a risk, but I also knew, I was ready to stop touring and living that lifestyle myself. I did it for 6, 7 years, and I had a good time doing it. I had a blast, got to tour the world. I really, really had a great perspective and, great experience from that. So I feel like by the time I left to be an agent, I was ready for whatever was next, if that makes sense. If it would have been forced and early, I feel like it would have been a little bit harder for me to do. By the way, hello, Grandpa. My grandpa's watching. So
Oh, right now. That's so cool. Can you still hear me?
yep, there you are. Yep.
Yeah, awesome. So, I mean, you have such a great like roster. Like you have been working so hard. I'm just like, yo, this guy's amazing. Tell them a little bit about because I mean, it's not just one genre. Like you're working with so many different backgrounds and artists, and I mean, it's so expansive. Tell me a little bit of just about your clients and your roster.
Yeah, yeah. So, I mean, I'm doing a lot, everything from hip hop to alternative rock to pop, Clever, Grandson. I work with Mike G on Young Thug,
Yeah.
which I'm grateful to do. Social House, Arrested Youth. I've got this really cool band, Honey, who's fantastic. And it's really diverse, and I think that comes from me being like, a rock guy that kind of migrated over into doing a lot of this other stuff and wanting to kind of see where that ended up going myself. So it's cool, man. It's diverse, keeps me on my toes.
Wow, that's amazing. I know we got about 4 minutes, but the Continuance Foundation, what is it like? What inspired you? Was it like a specific thing on the road that happened? Was it just personal life experience? Has this been on your heart just for a while? Like,
Yeah,
what?
mainly personal life experience because like, for me, it was a simple equation. It was like, how can I build something that benefits others that is exactly what I wish I would have had access to, right? Like when I was, obviously anxiety and depression and stuff, all this stuff runs in my family too, and mental health is a big subject in my family. So for me, it really was like pretty organic and not that difficult to come up with a concept because I was just like, what would I have wanted when I was touring? Like what are some things that would have really helped me? Number one, getting a therapist. Number two, having a community to talk to people. Number three, meditating, journaling, doing mindfulness,
Yeah.
having, like I said, having a community. Half the time, advocacy and talking to others and knowing you're not the only person that's going through something is just as important as the really really tangible stuff like getting a therapist and that kind of thing. So yeah, there's a part of our foundation where we actually onboard musicians and we will pay for their therapy, and it's amazing, and that's the core of the foundation. But also half the time it's just talking about this, right? Because not enough people are doing Instagram lives, doing we have a podcast, doing video series, stuff like that. The stuff that you're doing right now, like this is the stuff that's it's really important for people to see.
Wow. Yeah, I love it, man. I think you're gonna start a trend to where people can see what you're doing and seeing how it affects artists. And I mean, yeah, it's incredible. I just applaud you. It's just great to be connected with you. Um, what's one thing that you want to leave with guests or people listening, or maybe when somebody sees this live after? What is like your one word of encouragement to like inspire them to keep going? Whether that's an artist or just a regular human being, you know, what is your mantra? I guess you would say in a way. I know that's a heavy question, but
Well, I would say, one of the things is for I'll target it a little bit towards musicians, and then I'll do a second part answer. For my target for musicians is, I think, like understanding that, a lot of things that happen to you in your life you can't control, but you can control how you take care of yourself and how you react to those things, right? So like, if you have trauma in your life, or maybe you've, become an addict because that's what you're surrounded with every day because you're on the road and touring, or, you have anxiety, depression, you didn't ask for those things, right? So you have to give yourself a small break and be kind to yourself. That's one of my biggest things. Like, don't beat yourself up. Don't be brutal to yourself. We are our own worst enemy oftentimes, So I think taking care of yourself, but it also takes hard work. You can't just kind of throw your hands in the air and be like, I just chronically, and this is how I am. You got to kind of put the work in. You got to, get into different practices. Meditation and mindfulness are big for me. I love it. I journal every morning. I do yoga. I try to work out, which I need to do a little bit more. But and then also the flip side for people like you, I say keep doing this, right? Do this all the time. This is fantastic work. Even just hopping on an Instagram live and talking about it. It doesn't matter, who's watching. It doesn't matter how many people are watching. It doesn't matter if it's a brand new video series. All of it contributes. It's all extremely important. So that's the flip side, is awareness is everything. Just talk about it more. And that's one of my biggest goals.
amazing. Daniel, we have to have you back. I mean, I would love to do this in person, either whether it's in New York, LA, or just having, more time with you next time. I would love to set that up. But how can people find you? How can they interact with you? How can they find more about the Continuance Foundation?
Yeah. So our website's just thecontinuancefoundation.com. You see a bunch of cool stuff we're doing there, some virtual concert series. There's a lot of really cool resources on there and educative stuff. Also, my Instagram here, I answer my DMs. I actually pay attention to that stuff and message with people. Our Instagram is at the Continuance Foundation. So follow us on any of that stuff, and I'm happy to help in any way. And dude, thanks again for having me, man. I appreciate it.
Definitely, Daniel. We'll talk to you soon, and thanks everyone for joining.
You got it, man. Talk soon. Bye.
All right.